Hey Ken, how's it going?
Yes, I'm fine. How are you?
Good, good, doing well, thanks. Thanks for being the first student here.
Oh yeah. So,
Yeah, let's actually
mhm,
get started, Ken. But I wanted to ask you, how are things going?
mhm.
How's your evening?
Uh, Evening, yeah, so fine. Yeah.
Nice,
I
nice.
yeah, I ate dinner and I drank coffee after that. So I might not sleep tonight.
Really?
I drank coffee late at night. Oh, but anyway,
Yeah.
yeah.
Do you normally drink coffee at night, or do you stay away from coffee at night?
Yeah, usually I stay out of coffee at night. Yeah,
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
my body is sensitive for caffeine and alcohol. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Of course, yeah. I actually remember one time I drank tea at night and it completely messed me up the rest of the day. I was I just couldn't go to sleep that night, you know.
Mm,
Uh, I mean, I was able to get a lot of work done, but I
mm,
was also, my kind of internal clock completely screwed up.
yeah.
So, besides that though, I mean, yeah, I think it's good that you're here. So, uh, I've noticed that some of these classes are not getting as many kids, so I try to have as many, or no, not kids, I should say, but not seeing as many students. So
Mhm.
maybe it's just because the time is bad, or I don't know, maybe the subject isn't as interesting for people. But um, we'll get started anyway. Ken, thanks for joining. So
Thank you very much. Mhm,
yeah, to talk about, so we're gonna take a look actually today at the count and non-count nouns when we make
mhm,
them plural, and then in the second part of the class we are going to look at sweets and kind of food and health related topics around sweets and around high calorie substances.
mhm,
So it should be interesting to talk about kind of maybe Japanese sweets and how things
mhm,
happen in Japan. In the
mhm,
United States, we don't really have anything sweet. Like we don't in the United States, what's interesting is we don't actually call a food item sweets, right? Or
mhm,
we don't classify anything as being sweet. We classify things as being maybe dessert items, or we have the ice cream and that
uh-huh, I
department of
see.
food. But for example, in Indian food or in maybe
Mhm,
other cuisines, like maybe
mhm,
Greek food, right? Sweets are kind of a class in of themselves. Like baklava is classified as a sweet,
mhm,
right? Here, we don't actually even use that terminology. We use the terminology dessert, right?
mhm.
And
Even though that sweet is eaten during the mealtime, or for example 3 p.m.
mhm.
called dessert.
Even if it's when it's a random time like that, then it's usually called. It's. I have never heard it. Somebody saying, "And now after lunch, I'm gonna have some sweets."
Mm,
It's always been, now after lunch I'm going to have some dessert, right?
mhm,
So dessert, it doesn't really matter when you have it as long as it's following a meal, right? So
mhm,
technically you can have a dessert after lunch, you can have a dessert after dinner, right?
mhm,
If it's a random time in the middle of the day, like in the
mhm,
afternoon, right?
mhm.
People say snack, like I'm just
Okay,
gonna have a
snack.
snack,
Mm,
right?
right.
Without paying attention to what kind of snack it is, if it's sweet
Mm,
or
yeah,
sour or whatever the case might be. They
right.
don't actually care.
Yeah,
So
Japanese called snack for potato chips or yeah, such kind of not sweet, you know.
finger foods, junk food.
y- Yeah, kind of potato chips or kind of yeah, such kind of salty snack can be called snack. But
Uh-huh.
in English, okay, I got the sense of the English now.
Yeah, yeah,
Thank you.
yeah, absolutely. Sometimes we have these situations where, we have certain words that are kind of classified differently in a different
Mhm,
language. So
mhm,
like in like Japanese or in English in Japan,
mhm,
or I guess in Japanese in general, right? Certain things are called snacks, and
mhm,
even in, for example, India, they call certain things snacks
mhm,
compared to other things, right?
mhm.
So it's interesting. Uh, and we have two new people. Let me say hi to, hey, Wislaw, how's it going?
Hello, how are you?
Good, how are you?
Thank you, I'm well.
Awesome, good to see you. How's everything in Poland today?
Oh, it's a lot of snow.
Really?
Wow.
Last night felt about 15 centimeter.
Uh-huh.
It's a beautiful white word around.
Beautiful white world.
Mm.
That's awesome. That's beautiful.
But
And
it's too
uh-huh.
warm, and I think that go away, the snow.
It's gonna go away pretty soon, maybe within 1 or 2 days.
I think so.
Uh-huh. Yeah, it happens like that. So it's a short winter wonderland.
Mm,
In
yes.
English, when we have beautiful snowfall outside, people call it a winter wonderland, actually, right? So it's one of those
Wonder.
things where, yeah, winter wonderland. I'm also, guys, I'm typing in the chat window for Google and not for Colingo, because there's something wrong with my computer, so I'm fixing that. So you guys will be able to see everything I write in the Windows in the Google window, not the Colingo window.
Okay.
Yeah. Thank you, Vaisla. And we also have someone in Coro. Hey, Coro, how's it going?
Hello, I am Coro. It's my first time with a class from you. I
Uh-huh.
am from Spain. I am now in Madrid.
Hi, nice to meet you, Coro.
Thank you, the same.
Mucho gusto, bienvenida.
Gracias.
It's good to see you here. And how's the weather in Madrid? Is it snowy like in Poland?
No, it's sunny. It's cold, but it's sunny.
Uh-huh, it's cold, but it's
Between 3 or 9 grads Celsius,
between 3 and 9 degrees Celsius.
but very sunny, sunny, sunny.
That's great. That's great.
Really? I thought it's 15 in Spain now. It's really
Now
so cold.
in Madrid is 9 or 10.
Ooh.
Probably in Spain is 15, but here in Madrid is colder.
Mhm. Yeah, I heard maybe in like southern Spain, so like Sevilla and like
Yes,
Andalusia, it's usually
hmm
it's much warmer there, I think, right?
yes, yes, yes.
Yeah, because it's closer to it has kind of a desert climate. Um,
hmm
yeah, interesting. Awesome, guys. Well, thank you so much for joining. We were just about to get started. I was explaining to Ken that today we're going to be talking about plural and non-plural count and non-count nouns. So we'll get into the description of what that is. And then in the second part of the class, we are going to look at sweets. You know, sweets have a lot of sugar. They have a lot of different kinds of, they're not the healthiest food. So a lot of countries are actually eliminating sweets from menus or restricting how many sweets can be um, sold or how people can consume sweets. So let's get started, guys. Once again, if you guys have any questions during the course of the class, please don't hesitate to let me know, right? Especially Koro, I think this is your first time. So,
Okay,
definitely ask me questions. So,
okay.
when we look at these non-count and count nouns, guys, right? The first distinction we want to make, right? The very first distinction is that count nouns are just basic things that you can count, right? So, one tree, two trees, 300 cars, $400, right? Whatever the case is, there are things that you can easily count, right? Uh, I'm not sure, Koro, but there's some sound in the back. Is that coming from maybe your area?
Yes, I have problems with my uh, head things.
Headphones, headset? Okay, okay.
Yes,
Just wanted to
sorry.
make sure. No, that's fine. Just wanted to make sure it wasn't coming from me. It could be coming from me as well. So okay. So then in the next part, guys, count nouns once again are anything that we can count, right? One car, two cars, three cars, right? When we look at non-count nouns, right? Non-count nouns are words that do not have a plural or a singular form, right? So usually for a count noun, if we want to make it plural, we add s or es, right? Excuse me, guys. My apologies, right? If you want to make something, thank you. If you want to make a count noun a plural, then you just add an s to the end. One apple, two apples, right? One house, two houses, right? Non-count nouns, right? They do not have a singular or a plural form, right? So it's the same word for both the singular form and the plural form, right? So an example of a non-count noun is something like water, right? We don't say waters, we say water. Doesn't matter if we have a little bit of water or if we have a lot of water, right? So that's the primary difference between count and non-count nouns, right? Count nouns, we can add an S or an ES to the end to make them plural, right? Not only that, we have a few exceptions, right? So Koro, for example, what is the plural form of the word child in English?
Child, I think so, no? It's the same.
Child, well, if we want to make it plural, more than one
Yes.
child becomes
Children, sorry.
children. Yeah, children,
Yes.
fantastic. No, that's great, right? That's what I'm asking. So we do have some examples of count nouns that do not use that S or ES ending. They are irregular count nouns. So child becomes children, right? Ken, what about when it's the word person? What does the word person become?
People.
People, yeah. So it's another irregular count noun, right? Person becomes people, right? What about Wise what about the word mouse? What does mouse become when it's plural?
Which word? Sorry.
The word mouse, for example, your computer mouse.
Mouse.
Yeah. Do you know what the plural form of mouse might be?
Mice.
It's actually you're very close, Wise. It's pronounced mice. Mice, right? So mouse becomes mice actually. I mean, write it like this. M-I-C-E. Right? So mouse becomes mice. So these are irregular forms, right? Child and children, person and people, mouse and mice, right? Completely irregular. But they are all count nouns because we can say one child, three children, right? Non-count nouns, we cannot make them, we cannot include any number with them, right? One water, two waters doesn't work, right? Any questions on that so far, guys? What I've been talking about so far?
No, it's
No questions.
right.
No questions? Okay. Just want to make sure, guys. Thank you. And then, so I want to talk a little bit about these non-count nouns, right? These nouns that you cannot change from, that is the same word in the singular and the plural form, right? So there are a few examples of these, right? One of them was when we were talking about those scientific things, right? Like liquids, solids, and gases, right? If you're thinking about something that is naturally occurring, right? Think about water, right? Liquid, it's a liquid, or blood, water, blood, oil, right? All of those kinds of things. We don't say there's a lot of oils here. No, there's a lot of oil in the ocean, for example. If there's a disaster, right? He lost a lot of blood. We don't say bloods. He lost a lot of blood, right? And then so those are the liquids, right? In the solid category, we have, for example, gold and silver, right? Items like that, right? Items like that, gold and silver. Those we use when we are making plural. We can use those as ways to say non-count nouns, right? These are all examples of non-count nouns, right? Did we have someone join the class? Hey, Juan, how's it going? Hey, Juan, are you there?
He's muted.
Yeah, seems like it.
Yeah, I was talking to myself.
Oh, sorry about that, Juan. I didn't want to interrupt the conversation.
So I wonder why they don't listen to me.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Uh,
but okay, I realized I was muted.
uh-huh. No problems, no problems. Welcome to class, Juan.
Thank you,
Uh,
and hi everybody.
Hi.
Hello.
So, Juan, just to welcome you, we were talking about count and non-count nouns, right? And we were actually discussing the difference between, for example, a word like water and oil. These are examples of non-count nouns because we don't make them plural. We can say a little bit of water, we can say a lot of water, right? So it's not going to make a difference. So what are some other examples, guys? When we look at solids, like gold and silver, right? If we look at elements, natural elements like oxygen, hydrogen, right? All of these are examples of things that we do not use any plural form for these words, right? No plural form for these words. Any questions on that, guys?
No.
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 Okay, great. So then the next thing I wanted to talk about, guys, other examples, right? We have, for example, food and drinks that we eat and drink, right? So milk, wine, cheese, right? Rice, sugar, pasta, all of these kinds of categories of food, right? They are non-count nouns. We don't say I want rices, or he had a lot of rices, or he had 3 rices. We don't say those kinds of things, right? Pasta, salt, sugar. Think about things that you just can't count, right? Who cares how many things of sugar you put into your tea, right? You just say I want some sugar. You don't say I want 3 sugars or 3 sugar cubes, right? That's crazy. Um, what about, we also have non-count nouns when we talk about general activities, guys, right? So swimming, playing, right? Doing those kinds of things, teaching, learning. And then for sports, basketball, baseball, right? We don't change we don't change those forms to be any other kind of form, right? And then when we talk about categories like money or software or information, right? These are all other examples of things that are uh, non-count nouns, right? And specifically, guys, I want to make a distinction. When we use currency, when we're talking about dollars or euros or pesos or yen, right? Yen is actually an interesting example because the word yen in English does not have a plural form, right? We say 300,000 yen. We don't say 300,000 yens, right, Ken? So I think this is actually
Yeah.
one of the exceptions to the rule. But for the
Yeah.
other, yeah, go ahead, Ken.
Sorry, sorry.
No, no, that's fine.
Maybe Asian language doesn't have plural forms, clear plural form.
I think that might be,
Yeah, the reason.
yeah, I agree with that, Ken. I think that actually might be one of the reasons. But for a lot of the other currencies in the world, like euro, becomes euros, right? Um, peso becomes pesos, right? I had 300 pesos the other day, right? Whatever the case might be, right? But the word money is a non-count noun. I had a lot of money. You don't say I had a lot of monies, or he gave me 3 monies, right? Things like that. Um, so that was that one. Also, for example, guys, fields of study, biology, chemistry, geology. We don't make them plural. They're all non-count, right? And natural phenomenon like weather, like heat, rain, snow, right? We don't say snows, right? We say there's a lot of snow outside. Yesterday we got a lot of snow, right? And then
For
languages
example,
as well. Yeah, go ahead.
sorry. For example, if I have to say that we have 2 different kinds of weathers, is not possible.
Yeah, you don't want to say weathers, right? You actually would say we had 2 different kinds of weather,
Okay.
right? You're already making the situation plural by saying kinds, right? 2 different kinds of weather.
Mm,
So you can even say, nosotros teníamos 2 tipos de tiempo, right? Or dos
mm,
formas de tiempo. So tiempo is still singular, right? So same thing, and I think in English also, or I think in Spanish as well, we don't say tiempos for multiple weather, right?
okay. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. So that's a great question. So, and then last but not least, guys, another thing that's a non-count noun is a language, right? English stays English, Spanish stays Spanish, right? We don't need to discuss those, we don't make them plural in that conversation, right? So, any questions about count and non-count nouns, guys?
Mm, no.
Makes sense? I'm going to ask you guys very quickly then to please provide me one example of a sentence with a count noun and one example of a sentence with a non-count noun, right? So just give us 2 sentences, very quick. They can be very short, right? And if you need help, of course, I'm here to help you guys out. So Ken, do you mind starting?
Mm-hmm. Sorry, I missed your question. What should I
Question
do?
was the question is just that we want to have 2 sentences, one with using a count noun and one using a non-count noun. Anything you like.
Okay. I uh, I ate a lot of candies, and
Mhm.
I bring some furniture into my room.
Fantastic. I ate a lot of candies and I bring some furniture into my room, right?
Yes.
Fantastic. So furniture is an example of a what kind of noun?
Non-count.
Non-count. And what about candies?
I think candies are countable.
Candies are countable, absolutely. So you have 3 candies, 4 candies, 7 candies, right? You can count as many as you want. Absolutely. Uh, Juan, what about you?
Okay, well, for example, I put 2 pounds of sugar on my coffee.
Uh-huh. 2 pounds,
Um,
2 pounds of sugar? Juan?
yeah, I like very sweet.
Uh-huh. Okay.
And the other could be, well, the example I said before, we have two different types of weather.
Fantastic. Fantastic. We have 2 different types of weather, and weather is an example of a non-count noun, and we saw with, well, sugar is also a non-count noun, isn't it, Juan?
Yeah, but you put 2 pounds, so it's a count.
Fantastic. Fantastic, right? I just wanted to make sure. So you had one example with both types in there, right? And many times, guys, we use that for non-count nouns. We say, for example, 3 grams of sugar, 3 grams of salt, right? Salt is a non-count noun, but gram, right, is a count noun because you can count 1 gram, 2 gram, 3 grams, right? So that's the situation. And Cora, what about you? Another 2 examples, please, with one with a count noun, one with a non-count noun. Are you there, Coro? I think she is muted, unfortunately. Um, Wislaw, we'll go to you, please.
Yes. Uh, Last night dropped a lot of snow. Is uncount? Uncount?
Non-count, uh-huh.
Non-count. uh, now. And how many coffee and tea do you want?
Uh-huh, uh-huh. Fantastic, fantastic, fantastic. Two little things, Wislaw, right? For the first one, when you said last night, what was it? What was the word after last night,
Dropped.
Wislaw? Dropped, uh-huh.
Dropped.
So we actually don't want to use dropped, right? In the case of snow, we should say last night a lot of snow fell.
Fell on the end?
Fell is
The
on the
verb?
yeah, the verb is going to be on the end in this example, actually. Yeah. Last night we had a lot. Last night, actually, you know what the best way to say it is, Wesla? The best way to say it is a lot of snow fell last night.
Aha, thank you.
Yeah, yeah. A lot of snow fell last
A
night.
lot of
And
snow fell last night.
absolutely, right? And then the other example, when you said how many
Coffee and
coffee
tea?
and tea, we actually don't want to use many because many is used for count nouns.
Yeah.
So what should we use
But
instead?
I think coffee and tea about cups
Uh-huh. So then you have to
in
say,
in restaurant.
then you should include cups in the sentence, actually, Waislaw.
Aha,
Right? So then you should
okay.
say, how many cups of coffee and tea do you want?
Mhm.
Right? So because it's a count, we have to use many, right? So how many cups of coffee and tea, right, do you want, right? Oops, I'm making mistakes here. So that's this part, right? If you want to not say cups, then you can say how much coffee and tea do you want? So if it's a non-count, we use much, right?
Okay.
Yeah. So that's a good example. And Coro, you're back.
Yes.
Welcome back.
Yes, sorry.
No, no,
It's the
that's
day
fine.
from the technical problems. Yes.
No worries, no worries.
What
So
have to do?
just one sentence with a count noun and one sentence with a non-count noun, please.
With a count now, for example, I need some milk to make my pudding.
Uh-huh. I
This
need
is
some milk to make some pudding. That's non-count. That's on-count. Exactly, exactly.
uncountable. And I need 3 oranges to make a cocktail.
I need 3 oranges to make a cocktail. Fantastic, fantastic. Very well done, right? Oranges are the count nouns, and we have the other situation where it's another type of noun, right? Where it's a non-count noun. So great, guys. Any questions on these words that we've reviewed or anything like that? The difference between count and non-count? Does it all make sense, guys?
Yeah, yeah.
Yes.
Mhm.
Okay, okay, fantastic. So, guys, let's take a look at the article for today. I want to transition into this conversation about sweets, right? And when we look at sweets, it's one of those things that I think is really, it's kind of a universal concept, right? Eating eating something sweet, eating something that has a lot of sugar, you know. Uh, One of the things that's happening in the United States is we are actually there was a study that we are actually eating less and less. We are eating less and less sugar, and as a result, we are saying goodbye to sweets. Now, I don't actually know how this is true because whenever I read the news and from the other perspective, we read that there are so many problems when it comes to sweets, right? That they are, they're causing a lot of different problems. Sugar is causing a lot of problems in this country, right? But anyway, we'll take a look at this article and we will see what they're saying about this situation. So there we go, guys. That is our article. So if you guys could please click that. I'm going to start screen sharing. And also, guys, one of the things I really want to focus on is please, 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 if I say anything that you don't understand or if I run across a word that you don't understand, please let me know, right? I think that's a big part of our learning experience is to ask questions, right? So let us guys take a quick look. So let's take a look at this. I'm sorry, Juan?
I have problems opening the.
Oh, the link?
Yeah.
Okay, let me see if I can open it and maybe Juan, you can follow along on the screen share. Can you see the screen share?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, fantastic. We can do that then, guys. So long sweets, right? And it's saying American kids are eating fewer sugary products, right? American kids are eating fewer sugary products. So we see here, guys, right? The word fewer is used for count and non-count nouns, right? For the word fewer, I'm sorry, is used for count nouns, right? If you have more of something, if you have more apples or fewer apples, right? Because product is a count noun, right? This word product is a count noun. So we use fewer when we are talking about product, right? If it was a non-count noun, guys, what do you think the word would be if it was a non-count noun? Instead of fewer, we would use
Less.
less. Fantastic. Less, yeah. So, for example, Wiselaw, you can say there was less snow last week than this week, right? Because
American kids are eating less sugar.
exactly, American kids are eating less sugar, right? Less sugar. So, for example, yeah, that's it. That's the distinction right there, right? American kids are eating less sugar. American kids are eating fewer sugary products, right? So, what does it mean when you guys? What does it mean to you guys when you think the word "so long"? What does "so long" mean?
Bye bye.
Bye bye. Exactly, right? When you're saying goodbye to somebody, you can say "so long," "see you soon," right? Take care, so long, right? Look at this look at this like perfect photo, right? This guy is looking, this guy has this grapefruit, this dad or whoever is so happy, right? It's I like these pictures because they're so fake, you know? Uh, so all right. It's saying
It's a bit nostalgic.
it's very nostalgic, right? I mean, look at
Picture.
these beautiful oranges, right? Beautiful oranges and melons and vegetables, right? He's so happy. He's so happy. He's like, "What's going on?" You know?
You are right. This is not credible, this photo.
I know. It's kind of funny. But in any case, let's get started, guys. So let's say, do you have a sweet tooth? Right? According to a recent report by the research organization NPD Group, Americans are cutting back on sugary foods and drinks. What does it mean, guys, when we say cutting back?
Reducing.
Yeah, exactly. Reducing, right? So, especially in the case of food, guys, especially in the case of food. So, for example, people say, I'm cutting back on sugar, I'm cutting back on fats, right? Or just in general, if you're on a diet, people say, I'm cutting back, right?
Okay.
So, it's really reducing their sugary foods and drinks, right? So, today, on average, kids are eating and drinking sugary sweets 126 times less than they did in 1998. right? And then it says, this change is about the family. NPD Vice President Harry Balzer told Time for Kids. Families are altering their eating patterns, right? What does it mean to alter something, guys?
Altering. Change the way.
Change.
Yeah, exactly, guys, exactly. They are changing their eating patterns. They are altering their eating patterns, right? So then, wow, look at this picture, right? This is like, looks like a Mediterranean basket, you know? Uh, Beautiful tomatoes and onions and things like that, right? I've never seen something this clean offered in a normal American restaurant, for example, right? Normal American restaurants, you have fresh ingredients, but nothing looks like this. Maybe in an Italian restaurant, you can get something that's this beautiful, you know. But it's a photo, I guess. So let's see. So since March 1st, 1980, right, the NPD group has been surveying households across the United States about how they eat. The study includes 5,000 people in 2,000 households, right? Families taking part in the survey keep a journal of their daily diets for 2 weeks. During that time, each individual keeps a tally on how many sweets and sugary treats he or she consumes, right? So take a look at this word, guys. See how we say how many? Why are we using many instead of much?
Many, because it's talking about sweets.
Or is uncountable.
Well, Koro,
Many?
are sweets and is sweets uncountable, Koro, or is it countable?
Countable.
Countable.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Oh,
It
no
was.
problem.
Yes. Some in uncountable is much. Many is
Absolutely.
too. Okay.
Fantastic. No, that's great.
I
Uncountable is much, right? Yeah, go ahead, Jose.
I got adapt here. For example, if you're talking about sweet, you can say how much sweet.
Yeah, so you can say, for example, we don't see the word sweet by itself in English, right? It can be an adjective, and it can also be a noun, right? When it's a noun, sweet is actually just a count noun, right? So I don't know if there's a way to say, we don't want to say how much sweet, because sweet in that case would be a noun, and much can only go with a non-count noun, right? So we can say, for example, we can remove the much and the may altogether, and we can say how sweet, right?
Okay.
How sweet, and in that case, sweet is an adjective, right? How sweet our diet is, or how sweet people's diets are.
Okay.
Yeah, because in that case, we have the difference between a noun and an adjective. That's why it's a problem. So
Yeah. As well as Ken, I want to ask you what a tally in this concept means.
a tally, fantastic. A tally is when you are recording information. For example, I have three I have three I had 3 cups of rice today, and then tomorrow you had 4, and the next day you have 5. You are keeping a tally. You're keeping a record, right? So the word tally actually is the same as the word record.
Okay.
Yeah, great questions, guys. Any other questions about that paragraph?
No.
Make sense? Okay. Sweet, guys. Always, please let me know if you have any questions. So then we see here, that there was a survey, 5,000 people, 2,000 households, right? During that time, individuals recorded how many sweets and sugary treats they had, right? And then the study shows that a large percentage of Americans still satisfy their sweet tooth, but in smaller amounts, right? Nearly 98% of adults and children surveyed still have at least one sweet, but only every 2 weeks, right? So it's not a question of whether or not you're going to have a sweet, right? It's not a question of whether or not you're going to have a sweet, said Balzer. It's a matter of how frequently you're going to have a sweet, right? So what are they saying in that, guys? Is it saying that Americans don't eat sweets, or is it saying something different?
No, something different. That
So
they
what's
are reducing the consume of sweet,
Yeah, they are
but
reducing
it's
the
not
frequency.
forbidden.
Exactly. They're reducing how frequently they have it, right? But they are not. But it's not. Um, the people are still eating it. It's just that they're eating it once every 2 weeks instead of once every day, right?
Mm.
So, and then this is actually a really important part, guys. This next part, because in American English we don't actually use the word sweet to really talk about any specific food item. We do that in maybe other countries, right? Other countries, other languages, we mention sweets, right? So, for example, this is saying while there is no formal definition for what classifies a sweet, right? There is no formal definition of what is a sweet, right? It could be dessert, it could be cake, it could be ice cream, so many different things, right? NPD selected 20 products to conduct the study. NPD selected 20 products, right? And the list is expansive, right? It's an expansive list. So you have, for example, cookies and brownies and fruit juice and yogurt, right? These all are counted, classified as sweets. But in American English, we don't really have a definition of sweet, right? It could be anything that has sugar inside, right? And it's saying kids today are eating cookies 8 times less than they did in 1998 and drinking fruit juice 16 times less. So this is what they found in this article, or in this large study, right? Any questions, guys, about this larger paragraph? Any of the words that don't make sense or anything like that?
No.
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 Okay, awesome, guys, fantastic. And then last but not least, guys, we're looking at this downward trend, right? What does the word downward mean? What do you guys
I
think
don't know.
downward means? Uh-huh.
What?
It's the opposite of forward.
Yeah, perfect. Perfect.
Wow.
Right? So downward is like forward is something that you're well actually Juan, it's not exactly the opposite of of forward, but it is, for example, forward means to go in front, right? To keep going forward. To keep going. We say in Spanish like, adelante, right? Adelante, go forward. But downward is actually when we are saying something is decreasing, right? Something is heading down, something is going in the down direction, right? Something is going in the down direction. That's downward, right?
Okay.
And what does this word trend mean? Trend?
Direction.
Friendly. Yeah.
I'm sorry, say that again, guys. I couldn't hear.
Direction.
Yeah, it's a direction. So it's a decreasing direction, right? A decreasing direction. So in this case, they're talking more about how now the sugars and sweets are now becoming a decreasing direction in the world, right? So, or in the United States among children, right? So, let's take a look, guys. According to the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, the CDC, right? It's a big organization in the United States. The percentage of obese kids aged 6 to 19 tripled in the US between 1980 and 2000, right? About 9 million children were excessively overweight, right? They were very overweight, and this study was between 1980 and 2000. Kids between the age of 6 to 19, right? So today, obesity rates are not falling, but they aren't growing either, right? So it's interesting because I've read many reports that say the exact opposite. I read reports that say the obesity rate is actually increasing, right? But in this example, they're not saying that. They're saying that it's not growing either. There are 3 points to every trend, said Balzer, right? There's a movement upward, there's a leveling off, and then there's the decline, right? What does leveling off mean, guys?
What?
The word leveling off, the phrase leveling off.
Level.
On the same level. On the middle level.
Yeah, something that's leveling off, Weisel, that's perfect. It's something that is becoming now normalized, becoming normal, becoming middle. It's not going up, it's not going down, it's staying normal, right? So he says there are 3 movements. There's whenever we see trends, whenever we see a direction, it can be upward, it can be downward. So upward and downward are actually opposites, right? It can be upward, it can be downward. It could level off, or it could be a decline, right? So
Level of means status quo.
level off means just it's maybe level off means it's just stabilizing actually. So
Okay.
Yeah, the status quo is a little confusing because it depends on what happened or what the normal is, right? But in this example, it's just it's becoming stabilized. It's not going up or down, right? So he said, this guy Balzer said, right now we're at this leveling point, right?
Mm.
Right now we're at the leveling point, right? So it's not going up or down. When it comes to obesity, we're at the leveling point now, right? So let's look at this. Schools nationwide. Actually, before I move on, guys, any questions about this paragraph?
Mm. Mm.
No questions?
No.
Okay, guys, fantastic.
Good.
No.
Fantastic, guys, fantastic. So then this last paragraph, right? We see, so we learned a lot of things so far in this article, right? At the beginning, we learned that kids are eating and drinking sugary sweets 126 times less than they did in 1998. That's a big thing. So they're doing it a lot less. Then we also learned that it's not really the amount, or it's not really that they are not eating sweets. It's the frequency of eating sweets that's important, right? The frequency has decreased from many years ago compared to now, right? And even though the obesity rate has tripled, right? Tripled, the rates are not falling, but they aren't growing. So the obesity rate is leveling off. That's what they're saying, right? So schools nationwide, right, are doing their part to put childhood obesity on a downward trend, right? Fried food has disappeared from many cafeteria menus, right? Whole wheat bread has replaced white bread, right? Whole wheat bread has replaced white bread. Water and low-fat milk have replaced sugary beverages such as fruit punch, sports drinks, and soda, right? Many schools have also banned junk food and now require healthier snack options in their vending machines, right? These efforts, both at home and in school, are slowly putting kids on the right track for healthy eating, right? So, what do you guys think about this last paragraph? That schools are taking action in doing this? Have you guys seen this in your own countries, or what do you think about this idea that schools are focusing on this downward trend, guys? What do you guys think?
Yeah, I think that they start late, but finally they are doing something about it.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely, right. And why is the school such a good location for us to start this kind of a program? One.
Why the school?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, because it's the beginning when you started to get habits. So it's very important you start to learn how to eat healthy.
Yeah, absolutely, right. It's something that I think is very, I mean, kids spend so much time in school, right? That's where they learn, that's where they realize different things, right?
Mm.
So it's important to allow them that chance to figure things out for themselves, right? Learn things for themselves. Um, and yeah, schools, they're learning about other stuff. Why not learn about food and nutrition as well, right? Um, Ken, what do you think about this idea of schools? Have you seen this in Japan? Have the schools instituted a new kind of program for people, for children to have, healthy habits?
Maybe thanks to the food here, obesity is not a big problem like in America. So maybe I never heard school doing this kind of thing because yeah, usually American sweet is 3 times higher, sweeter than Japanese sweet. So
Really?
sweet is less sweet here. Yes, I
Wow. So,
realized that while I was in America.
so how do the Japanese people just
Mm.
have more, or do they use less sugar?
Yeah, maybe that's a Japanese tongue. That's beautiful Japanese tongue. So American cakes are too sweet for me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So or less fat or food maybe. So there's no such kind of program here. So as far as I know, I've never heard of this kind of program. But
Mm-hmm.
the current kids, often eat junk food or something like that. So some school, uh, uh, you know, bring bring the chef to the school to teach a different taste because uh, you know, small kids, the taste small kids get
Mhm.
that continue whole life. So
Mhm.
experience tasting a lot of different food develop tongue, kind of kid's
Yeah.
tongue to recognize a lot of different tastiness. So some school, try to do kind of teach a lot different type of food or taste to the kids
Mhm. Absolutely. Absolutely.
to get more wider acquired taste. I mean,
Yeah. And one of the things that we say very, very frequently in English, Ken, is we say people are developing their taste buds, right? So the taste buds are those little things on your tongue that help you taste, right? So in English we say, it's a very common phrase, sometimes people write about restaurants, they write about food, they say, develop your taste buds, right? Developing your taste buds.
oh yeah,
So it allows you to know, what is going on in the wider world, if you are traveling and eating a lot and you are developing your taste buds, you are making your taste buds used to, for example, sugar and different kinds of flavors. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
especially.
I think it's just matter to get used to to accustom to taste the taste
Yeah,
buds.
you think it's important to accustom your taste buds, right?
Mm.
Yeah, exactly.
For
To
example,
get.
my wife drink her coffee without sugar, but I could not because it has no good taste for me. But he used to get accustomed to his taste bud to take it without sugar. So I think you can do it. It's just matter that you practice or you start it to
Hmm.
drink it. Maybe to put a little bit more, less sugar until you get the finally you don't put sugar at all.
Hmm. Hmm. Exactly. And her taste buds have become accustomed to uh, not having sugar in her coffee, right?
Yeah, the same happens with the salt.
Yeah, the same thing with salt, right? So some people can eat. Some people, when you go to a restaurant and you see the salt on the table, people put so much salt, right?
Yeah.
Right. For me, I never touch that salt. The saltiness, the regular salt is okay for me, right?
Mhm.
But some people they need that, right? So, in any case, Coro, I was going to ask you as well. I've been asking these guys the same question. Have there been efforts in Spain to change the way people eat, especially children in the schools? Have they started to do more kind of education around healthy eating?
Yes, it is a very, very modern theme in the TVs or in the news because we are adopting American uses, and the people are avoiding this to to imitate the American uses.
Hmm.
To these industries with puddings or something, so no made at home, and this is very, very unhealthy. Yes, we are trying to avoid it.
Hmm. That's and are they how often do you think Spanish children eat sweets and high sugary items? I mean, is it common in the culture or maybe with fast food, do young people eat a lot of this stuff?
This is the consequence from the time the stress from the families. They haven't time to cook someone healthy for the kids. They go to the store and buy something donuts or something so, but that is not healthy. The
Hmm.
moms have no time to prepare a healthy sandwich,
Meal,
for
a healthy
example.
meal or sandwich. Yeah, yeah.
It's
Uh-huh.
faster to go to the store and to buy to donuts.
Donuts. Uh-huh. Yeah, donuts.
Yes.
I like it.
Yeah.
Yes,
Donuts
but for the
are so bad.
Yeah, but very
yes,
tasty.
yes, but for
Unfortunately,
the kids it's
all
not
the
so
food,
healthy.
yeah. Unfortunately, all the food that is tasty is not healthy.
Yes, it's the
Yeah.
problem.
Big problem. It's a big problem, guys. But there are people actually who are very creative with how they make food, right? For example, even vegetarian people, right, they can make some amazing food, very delicious food, guys. I've had vegetarian food. A lot of people in India are actually vegetarian, so when they eat food, uh, they don't. I mean, we're not talking about sweets here because even vegetarians can have sweets, they can have sugar. But even when we talk about meat and those kinds of foods, right? We might feel, oh, we need meat and we need a lot of oil in our food to make it delicious, or frying things and things like that. But there are a lot of vegetarian people in the world, and they make some really good food that's very nutritious, and also it's not fried. They use natural ingredients, so it's actually really nice. If you guys have, I'm sure Mexico and Spain have those kind of foods, but they're not available to the average person. They take more time to prepare, probably more expensive because you need to buy those natural ingredients. So
Mhm.
You say
yeah,
important word, expensive. For example,
expensive.
yeah, for example, there are more products made it with candy oil, with a substitute of sugar, but they are very expensive.
Really?
Yeah,
How much more expensive is it?
almost the double.
Wow.
Wow.
Yeah.
So, for example, now that I get the diabetes, I started to consume products made with candy oil, but they are very, very expensive. So,
Hmm.
that's the way I noticed that there are another, or you can eat another kind of products more healthy, but there is more expensive. So, it's not for all kind of people.
Yeah, yeah. Which I guess is it's sad, right? I mean, if people have the willingness to change their diet, sometimes the cost is what keeps them from doing so, you know, because so many healthy things are expensive as well.
Yeah.
Yes, but for example, now in Spain, with the recession, the people are eating unhealthier, are more fat kids because it's not cheaper to eat unhealthy things.
Hmm. Hmm.
Mhm.
Absolutely, absolutely. Kind of sad, but it's the reality, right? So
Mhm.
that's what we want to know about. We want to learn about the reality, right?
Mhm.
Uh, And also, Weslaw, I wanted to ask you about, maybe about Poland. Have the young people there, are they also kind of changing are they eating a lot of sugar? Or is it less? Are the schools doing more for us? Or I guess for the students? Weslaw? I think he might have been busy. He said be
Well,
right back, right? So maybe he's not
yeah.
back yet. Yeah. In any case, guys, so I had just one last question for you guys. We have just a couple minutes left, but I wanted to know, how many times do you guys, drink sugary drinks or eat sugary food on a weekly basis? Would you guys say that for you guys it's an upward trend? Is it leveling off or is it downward? What would you guys say? Just in your own lives. In your own lives.
Um, okay. Well,
Yeah, go ahead, Juan, or you can go first one. Yeah.
in my case, as I said, I get the diagnosis diabetes. Obviously, my consumer sugar is downward, downward,
Hmm. Downward. Downward. Yeah.
downward.
Hmm.
Yeah,
So now
but
it's going downward.
yeah, but well, I have to get used to because it's for my own health, so I have no choice.
Absolutely, absolutely. That's good. I wish you the best, Juan, with that, with that trend. You can do it. I have faith in you. You can do it.
Yeah, yeah,
You
I
just
am
have to.
trying.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
in the track.
I know, I know. It's not easy. What about Coral? What about you when it comes to if you don't mind sharing, I mean, depending on after maybe reading this article or just in your daily life, would you say you consume more sugar than is healthy or the same or less?
Plus, I am trying to eat to consume very less sugar than before.
Hmm.
I stopped smoking for 9 months, and now I'm doing diet all the time.
Yeah, actually, Cora, just one thing I wanted to mention. You did a great job. With just that we have to say much less instead of very less.
Much less, yes,
Much
much
less,
less.
yeah, because it's an example of a non-count,
Okay.
right? Much less. So fantastic. So I wish you the very best as well, Coro. I mean, quitting smoking is a very big thing. It's a big
Yes, it's a
accomplishment.
very important step in my life.
Yeah, yeah. Congratulations.
Yeah, thank you.
It's
But
great.
now I am on diet all the time, all the time.
It's good for you. It might be hard, but I think you will really be happy once you reach your
Yes, yes.
goal. You'll be very happy.
Mhm.
Yeah. And last but not least, I was going to ask Ken, what about you? It seems like you have maybe a very low sugar intake as well.
Yes, I don't like sweets actually. I like food more. So, uh, a little bit, and I try to intake brown sugar or honey instead of white sugar.
Uh-huh.
And usually I drink coffee and tea straight. I mean, with milk, soy milk, and without sugar, or straight coffee. But straight coffee is not good for the stomach, so I uh, and without sugar, because without sugar, the coffee I can enjoy the coffee aroma,
Mm-hmm.
but
Mm-hmm.
without sugar. So and I intake fruit.
Uh-huh.
So maybe instead of sweets, I intake fruit, kind of fruits.
So a lot
And
of that natural sugar. Uh-huh.
yeah, no fruit juice or drink. How can I say in English? Drinking yogurt.
Eating yogurt.
Kind of like a juice,
Oh,
juice type yogurt.
yogurt, drinking yogurt. Okay, you can say,
Yeah.
or I have yogurt drinks.
Yes. Yes.
I have yogurt drinks. Yeah.
Mm, yes.
Yeah.
That's my eating habit nowadays. After
Nice.
I grew up. Yeah,
Nice.
I
That's
like
awesome.
food more than sweets actually.
Food is better than sweets, right? Yeah,
Yeah,
I think with kids it's the exact opposite. I think
yeah, I think so.
kids can eat sweets as their
Because
meals, right?
kids' tongue can sensitive for sweets.
Uh-huh.
Yeah,
And
so
then
it's natural they like sweets. Yes.
yeah,
Yeah.
fantastic. Great to know. Great to know, guys. Well, in any case, guys, I wanted to just ask real quick, did we have any questions, guys, about anything that we are looking at? Or, are you guys, do you guys have any questions, any other questions of things? We looked at count nouns and non-count nouns, right? So we were looking at words like things that you can count, of course, like one house, two house, three house. With non-count nouns, we have a different example. We're looking at things that are more natural, like sugar, salt, those kinds of things, right? And looking at the food article, I think there's a lot of parallels between American society and other societies in which we have these problems, right? We have um, schools need to do more, and maybe they're starting, and late is better than never, right? So hopefully, with time, things get better, and sharing our own personal stories. So, Koro, I really admire what you're doing, and best of luck to you. And yeah, I hope it works out for everybody. And Ken, keep doing what you're doing, man. Food is better than sugar. So
Okay.
yeah. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for a great class, guys. I have
Thank
more
you very
classes coming
much.
up tonight. Yeah,
Thank you
Okay,
very much.
thank
yeah.
you. Nice to
Good to
meet
see you
you.
guys.
Nice to
Nice
meet
to meet you
Bye.
as
you. Thank
well.
you.
Bye, bye, guys.
Bye.
Bye.
Day, I was very. I just couldn't go to sleep that night.
Mm.
Uh, I mean, I was able to get a lot of work done, but I
Mm.
was also my kind of internal clock completely screwed up.
Yeah.
So besides that, though, I mean, yeah, I think it's good that you're here. So uh, I've noticed that some of these classes are not getting as many kids. So I try to have as many, or not kids, I should say, but not seeing as many students. So
Mhm.
maybe it's just because the time is bad, or I don't know. Maybe the subject isn't as interesting for people. But um, we'll get started anyway. Ken, thanks for joining. So
Thank you very much. Mhm.
yeah, to talk about, so we're going to take a look actually today at the count and non-count nouns when we make
Mhm.
them plural. And then in the second part of the class, we are going to look at sweets and kind of food and health related topics around sweets and around high calorie substances.
Mhm.
So it should be interesting to talk about kind of maybe Japanese sweets and how things happen in Japan. In the
Mhm.
United States, we don't really have anything sweet. Like we don't in the United States, what's interesting is we don't actually call a food item sweets, right? Or
Mm.
we don't classify anything as being sweet. We classify things as being maybe dessert items, or we have the ice cream and that
I
department of
see.
food. But for example, in Indian food or in maybe other cuisines, like maybe
Mm.
Greek food, right? Sweets are kind of a class in of themselves. Like baklava is classified as a sweet,
Mm.
right? Here, we don't actually even use that terminology. We use the terminology dessert, right?
Mm.
And
Even though that sweet is eaten during the mealtime, or for example 3 p.m.
mhm.
called dessert.
Even if it's when it's a random time like that, then it's usually called. I have never heard it. Somebody saying, "And now after lunch, I'm gonna have some sweets."
Mm.
It's always been, now after lunch I'm going to have some dessert, right?
Mhm.
So dessert, it doesn't really matter when you have it as long as it's following a meal, right? So
Mhm.
technically you can have a dessert after lunch, you can have a dessert after dinner, right?
Mhm.
If it's a random time in the middle of the day, like in the
Mhm.
afternoon, right?
Mhm.
People say snack, like I'm just
Okay,
gonna have a
snack.
snack,
Mm.
right?
Right.
Without paying attention to what kind of snack it is, if it's sweet
Mm.
or
Yeah.
sour or whatever the case might be. They
Right.
don't actually care.
Yeah,
So
Japanese called snack for potato chips, or yeah, such kind of not sweet, you know.
finger foods, junk food.
Y- yeah, kind of potato chips, or kind of, yeah, such kind of salty snack can be called snack. But
Uh-huh.
in English, okay, I got a sense of the English now.
Yeah, yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. Sometimes we have these situations where, we have certain words that are kind of classified differently in a different language. So
Mhm,
like in like Japanese or in English in Japan,
mhm,
or I guess in Japanese in general, right? Certain things are called snacks, and
mhm,
even in, for example, India, they call certain things snacks
mhm,
compared to other things, right?
mhm.
So it's interesting. Uh, and we have two new people. Let me say hi to, hey, Wislaw, how's it going?
Hello, how are you?
Good, how are you?
Thank you, I'm well.
Awesome, good to see you. How's everything in Poland today?
Oh, it's a lot of snow.
Really?
Last night felt about 15 centimeter.
Uh-huh.
It's a beautiful white wall.
Right?
Yes, yes, yes.
Yeah, because it has kind of a desert climate. Um,
Hmm.
yeah, interesting. Awesome, guys. Well, thank you so much for joining. Uh, we were just about to get started. I was explaining to Ken that today we're going to be talking about plural and non-plural count and non-count nouns. So we'll get into the description of what that is. And then in the second part of the class, we are going to look at sweets. Sweets have a lot of sugar. They have a lot of different kinds of, they're not the healthiest food. So a lot of countries are actually uh, eliminating sweets from menus or restricting how many sweets can be um, sold or how people can consume sweets. So let's get started, guys. Once again, if you guys have any questions during the course of the class, please don't hesitate to let me know, right? Especially Koro, I think this is your first time. So,
Okay,
definitely ask me questions. So,
okay.
when we look at these non-count and count nouns, guys, right? The first distinction we want to make, right? The very first distinction is that count nouns are just basic things that you can count, right? So, one tree, two trees, 300 cars, $400, right? Whatever the case is, there are things that you can easily count, right? Uh, I'm not sure, Koro, but there's some sound in the back. Is that coming from maybe your area?
Yes, I have problems with my uh, head things.
Headphones, headset? Okay,
Yes,
okay. Just wanted to
sorry.
make sure. No, that's fine. Just wanted to make sure it wasn't coming from me. It could be coming from me as well. So okay. So then in the next part, guys, count nouns once again are anything that we can count, right? One car, two cars, three cars, right? When we look at non-count nouns, right? Hey, Ken, how's it going?
Yes, I'm fine. How are you?
Good, good, doing well, thanks. Thanks for being the first student here.
Oh, yeah. So,
Yeah, let's actually
mhm,
get started, Ken. But I wanted to ask you, how are things going?
mhm.
How's your evening?
Uh, Evening, yeah, so fine. Yeah.
Nice,
I,
nice.
yeah, I ate dinner and I drank coffee after that. So I might not sleep tonight.
Really?
I drank coffee late at night. Oh, but anyway, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Do you normally drink coffee at night, or do you stay away from coffee at night?
Yeah, usually I stay out of coffee at night. Yeah,
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
my body is sensitive for caffeine and alcohol. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
of course, yeah. I actually remember one time I drank tea at night, and it completely messed me up the rest of the
What around.
beautiful white world.
Mm.
That's awesome. That's beautiful.
But
And
it's too
uh-huh.
warm, and I think that go away. The snow.
It's gonna go away pretty soon, maybe within 1 or 2 days.
I think so.
Uh-huh. Yeah, it happens like that. So it's a short winter wonderland.
Mm.
In
Yes.
English, when we have beautiful snowfall outside, people call it a winter wonderland, actually, right? So it's one of those things
Wonderland.
where, yeah, winter wonderland. I'm also, guys, I'm typing in the chat window for Google and not for Colingo, because there's something wrong with my computer, so I'm fixing that. So you guys will be able to see everything I write in the Windows in the Google window, not the Colingo window.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you, Vaisla. And we also have someone in Coro. Hey, Coro, how's it going?
Hello, I am Coro. It's my first time with a class from you. I
Uh-huh.
am from Spain. I am now in Madrid.
Hi, nice to meet you, Coro.
Thank you, the same.
Mucho gusto, bienvenida.
Gracias.
It's good to see you here. And how's the weather in Madrid? Is it snowy like in Poland?
No, it's sunny.
Mhm.
It's cold, but it's sunny.
It's cold, but
Between 3 or 9 grads Celsius,
between 3 and 9 degrees Celsius.
but very sunny, sunny, sunny.
That's great. That's great.
Really? I thought it's 15 in Spain now. It's really
Now
so cold.
in Madrid is 9 or 10.
Ooh.
Probably in Spain is 15, but here in Madrid is colder.
Mhm. Yeah, I heard maybe in like southern Spain, so like Sevilla and like
Yes.
Andalusia, it's usually
Mhm.
it's much warmer there, I think, right?